Thank you for being here. I want to ask about the announcement in February about replacing the C-5As with C-17s, which was part of the comprehensive reorganization of Air Force resources. The House Defense Authorization Bill includes a provision that would put that restructuring plan on hold for a year, so I understand. And I want to try to understand from you, General Wyatt, if I can, what the consequences of that are. Specifically, I mean, the idea, as you went through these difficult budget decisions, was to replace the C-5As, which are expensive to maintain and which aren't mission ready much of the time, with C-17s. The idea would be that would save a lot of money and produce a more efficient operation. Now, what happens to what does this one-year delay do? What does it do in terms of the cost of maintenance, for example, of these C-5As that you know you're going to get rid of? What does it do to the schedule for retraining personnel? And what does it do to the Guard's mission readiness?
Sir, those are great questions. They're what we're wrestling with right now. The transition at Memphis out of C-5s into C-17s was actually an FY12 action that is supposed to begin, but it continues into FY13 as we retire C-5As out of Memphis. The C-17s come in. That requires training dollars to be spent to make the conversion. And you're correct. The reason that, and I applaud that move on behalf of the Air Force, because it does bring the Air National Guard more into the relevant aircraft of the future. It's something we've been pushing for quite a long time in the Air National Guard.
Well, we know, don't we? We're going to get rid of the C-5As, right?
Yes, sir. We are.
So why would we delay it a year?
I hope we don't, but that particular movement is one of the things in PB 13 that I think is in the best interest of the country, and certainly the Air Force and the Air National Guard, that we continue with that part of it. If the prohibition is to spend any FY13 funds on FY12 actions that need to be completed in 13, then the dilemma is exactly as you have expressed. It would cause us to go back and take a look at what is the cost of maintaining the C-5As. Is there appropriations in the 13 CR to do so, if that's where we're going? And it does cause us some uncertainty as we go forward.
So at a time when dollars are short and tight, and many of your recommendations weren't able to be accepted, but you're saluting them, said to Senator Coates, maybe we need a Title X salute in the United States Senate. We might get things done a little more quickly if we did. But so you're going to have to be spending money maintaining planes that you know you're going to get rid of, when you could be spending it on retraining Guard personnel. You could be spending it on other aspects of mission readiness. Is that not correct?
Yes, sir. The situation at Memphis is exactly as you have described it. That's one of the inputs in the Air Force corporate process that the Air National Guard made that was accepted by the United States Air Force, and I applauded that because it made a whole lot of sense, still does make a whole lot of sense. But the dilemma that we're in right now is how do you make that transition that we start this year in FY12 with the prohibitions on spending monies in 13 to complete those actions.
Well, I hope as we move through the process, and we're trying to respect your stewardship of scarce dollars, that we see that what that delay would do is really waste money or take money for planes that we know we're going to get rid of to maintain them, and money that could be used in other places. In the same light, in Nashville, the Guard's preparing for a new unmanned aerial vehicle mission, which I understand the Air Force needs for that facility to assume. Now, how will this one-year delay affect our military capabilities and the timeline for moving UAVs into Nashville?
Very similar situation. Again, this was an FY12 action that is beginning. Part of it involves the movement of C-130s from Nashville to the Puerto Rico Air National Guard, which is losing C-130Es. So there's kind of a ripple effect that we're facing. I have to applaud General Haston, the Adjutant General for Tennessee, very forward-looking, volunteered early on to transition into the RPA mission, which we see as a sunrise mission in the Air National Guard, one that will be around and keep the Tennessee Air Guard relevant well into the future. But we face the same challenges there as we need to continue on down that path toward transition. Delays do make the transition a little bit smoother, a little bit more difficult and costly.
And costly.
And costly. You know, the cost of you know, maintaining those aircraft would, you know, move to Puerto Rico, but if we're required to hold the Puerto Rico divestiture of C-130s, the E models, then we could have that expense that we would not normally have.
I don't have much time left, but if I could ask General Ingram, toward the end of President Bush's administration, National Guardsmen were deployed along the border to assist with immigration issues. You made a slight reference to that, I believe, and I wondered if you could tell me how successful that was, whether some of that's still going on or not in terms of our border control activities. I think it was in support of those whose job it is to secure the border.
Senator, that you are correct. It's in support of the Customs and Border Patrol. That mission has changed slightly. This year, that mission changed from 1,200 people to 300 people, and it moved from a ground mission to an aerial mission where we're using 300 soldiers flying 19 helicopters and 1 fixed-wing aircraft, along with analysts on the ground that help interpret the data for the Border Patrol from the information that's gained from those aircraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Coates.